This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Hi, my name's John Cordy and I'm a scat man in the biblical sense. Let me turn the light down. A couple of bits of housekeeping. First of all, something arrived in the post. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've got a plan which is to get this thing melted down into 100,000 pieces and sort of scatter it with some sort of quickly burning device. I'm going to find some way to really thank all of you with that piece of metal. Also, I have not and will never be on Telegram. If you do get approached by someone in the comments with the name John Nathan Cordy suggesting that I want to send you something for free, then you should respond like Deep Gym Pack did. And here is a little story about how to deal with the people that are offering you stuff on Telegram. Right, this video, the intention is just to sort of highlight a couple of my favourite signature guitars, but also to ask sort of what is the point of the signature guitar. Now, before the Les Paul, there were a couple of examples of signature guitars. I think Martin had a few artists, but Les Paul is probably A, the most significant signature guitar ever made, and B, I've got to guess this is the most prolific, because obviously you get signatures of a signature, so maybe it might have even transcended beyond the point of being a signature guitar. But I think the point of a signature guitar has kind of drifted over time. Yeah, there's a few examples that I can think of where the idea of putting someone else's name on the top of the headstock or working with an artist to design something in some ways was to push forward an idea that was kind of innovative. So whether that was the Les Paul at the time, or even if you think more modern, something like the Strandberg, where an association with Pliny or Per Nilsson or some of those guys that have signature Strandbergs, where it's like a guitar that doesn't necessarily look like other guitars in some ways, and needs some of that artist kind of approval. But then more lately, I think what we more commonly see are things that are kind of just reskinning the same guitar over and over. So whether you think of Fender signature guitars, like every year at NAMM you see, or this has been my experience, you see like a bunch of signature guitars that come out. You might have heard of some of the artists, you might not, but they're basically just Strats or Tellys in different colours, which of course you're not going to turn down a signature guitar from Fender or Gibson or whatever. I mean, like Rick Beato's guitar was a guitar that they had made in the past but with a different colour scheme essentially, right? Or I mean, they probably made Pelham Blue back in the day, but do you know what I mean? Like, it, for the artist or person involved to be approached, you'd be like, oh, that's amazing. But I think actually it's probably not. I think the Les Paul makes sense. I actually wasn't enjoying playing this one for this video because prior to that I was playing the Aaron Marshall AM6, which I think is actually quite I don't know, almost remarkable signature guitar, because it is actually pretty different to anything else that Schecter made. So first of all, it's got Gotoh trem on it, which typically at this price point the Indonesian guitars wouldn't. That's on the Nick Johnson Strat, isn't it? 24 stainless frets, which again, stainless frets in the Indonesian market has not been a massive thing. I think Yamaha use them and that's about it. Then, I mean, these pots are somewhat novel, right, as well. And also this wood choice on the back of the neck here is also novel. And a reverse headstock and Gotoh lock-in tuners as well. So it's basically, from chatting to Aaron and also seeing some interviews, he kind of insisted on a bunch of things that I think are fairly brave for an artist to do, and necessarily I guess it pushed up the price point a little bit, but what you do end up with is a guitar which is actually significantly different from other things that I think it merits existing. And this is one of my favourite signature guitars actually that I can remember coming across. Not in that way. Another brand that did some really important stuff, and I think still kind of do, Music Man. So I think their first proper kind of signature, like, this could be totally wrong, but the Eddie Van Halen signature that Music Man made, which they continued to make even when he sort of parted ways with them, which is now the Axis. They made that for about 5 years. I think it started in about 1990, something like that. But Music Man have got a bunch of signature guitars that actually don't really look much like one another. So they've got the Steve Lukather, they've got the John Petrucci, they've got the Albert Lee, as I say, the EVH one. They also made the Steve Morse one. I think they may even still make that. But all of these are actually pretty distinct instruments. So kind of almost the polar opposite of what Fender might do, where they just essentially are changing the colours and putting someone else's name on the headstock. Music Man have got clearly whole different, what's the word I'm looking for, jigs and stuff for each of their signatures. Like maybe the neck and the headstock's about the only thing that is fairly similar between them. And even John Petrucci himself has a bunch of different guitars. And I think that was one of the reasons that someone like John Petrucci left Ibanez in the first place, because, you know, it wasn't actually possible to build the guitar that he was interested in or wanted to, you know, with that extreme forearm cut that he initially kind of spec'd for that. And then obviously his guitar over time has changed with Music Man to be this Majesty thing, which is quite different. But yeah, so Music Man, I think, are a company that are still doing some kind of proper signature stuff where it's like all fairly distinct. Uh, Ibanez are, I think, more one of the brands that, you know, like Yvette Young's is basically a Towman. The Martin Miller, Tom Quayle's are basically AZ guitars, and even the Andy Timmons one is now an AZ guitar. So I think they're one, basically, I think back in the day, even the Alan Holdsworth was like a Roadstar shape, right? The Blazer, Roadstar, same sort of thing. So in that way, I think they're using artists to sort of push existing models more so. So, you know, like initially you had the Gem, and then you had the RG, which was kind of like the cheaper model, which had a lot of the same sort of things going on. And then PRS as well, they've got a few that are actually fairly different, like the Fiore, Mark Lettieri's guitar, the Miles Kennedy, which is also a new model for them, and also the Silver Sky, which is not entirely like other stuff that PRS made at the time. So it's kind of interesting. Like, I think John Mayer left Fender for similar sorts of reasons to the John Petrucci thing, where it's like there's some sort of clash going on, and it's maybe they're not building the guitars that he actually wants. Yeah, let me know your favourites. Also, the PRS DGT SE has been a real revelation to me. I did have a real PRS DGT, which I didn't really like, but it's easy to forget, I think, that that one is a signature guitar, because in the UK, Dave is not necessarily a guitarist that we've heard a ton of, or not a huge name over here. But the PRS DGT, I think, is even bigger than sort of Dave's profile over here. The SE was a real revelation to me. The other DGT that I had, I didn't really love. But those are guitars that a lot of the PRSs look very similar, but some of the specs are fairly different, like neck shape. The DGT, obviously the electronics are all fairly different, and the fret sizes. But I think PRS is one of those ones which people would say, well, that kind of, a lot of them look fairly similar, except for their newer models. But let me know what you think the point of a signature guitar is. I think there are different kind of statuses. Like, if you're a huge megastar, you might be able to get a company to actually build you a whole new thing. If you're not, you might be able to get a different colour and your name on a headstock of an existing model. It's kind of an interesting sort of thing. Or, you know, like the Larry Carlton thing, where more or less it's not so much a signature guitar as it is him putting his stamp of approval on a bunch of guitars that are already being made in existence, which is, I think, but maybe that is exactly the thing. Maybe that's the point entirely. It's just using an artist's name to sort of, you know, seal the approval on a guitar. But yeah, let me know your favourite signature models. The Ibanez JS 1200 of Tony's that I played, I really, really rate that guitar. That probably might be my favourite signature guitar that I've played. I thought that was amazing, and had a lot of the kind of innovation stuff going on. You know, it's got a treble bleed in there that you can bypass with a pull. It's got the dual locking Floyd, which is not my favourite thing. A really great body shape, feels amazing under the fingers, and also a nice kind of slim but not too skinny neck. That guitar really did feel quite a lot like home to me, which is a nice thing for me personally, and also kind of looks pretty cool. I think that's my favourite signature guitar that I've played. Let me know yours in the comments if you would. Cheers. Oh, talking of signature guitars, Tim Miller just brought out a signature with Kiesel, which kind of is a little bit in that Strandberg-y, Carvin-y kind of space. I checked out last night again the 21212 Creative Arpeggio Design course from Tim Miller. I think that's my favourite thing on TrueFire. You can use the code JNC40 to get 40% off of that course. Or if you're thinking, I'll go in for all access, where you can access all of their courses throughout the entire year, you can use the code JNC100 for $100 off of that if you want to. Cheers for stopping by, and watch out for 100,000 tiny pieces of metal flying at you.